There is a dense canopy of pine in southeastern Massachusetts that pulls you in and refuses to let go. This is Freetown State Forest, the dark, claustrophobic center of a 200-square-mile zone known as the Bridgewater Triangle. For centuries, locals have passed down stories of bizarre anomalies hiding in these woods. The pukwudgies, small gray tricksters of regional folklore, and glowing orbs of light reported hovering silently through the tree branches after dark. The landscape itself seems to hold a heavy psychological gravity. Deep within the forest sits Assinet Ledge, an 80-foot-deep abandoned granite quarry where visitors consistently report a sudden, overwhelming, and entirely unexplainable urge to jump into the dark water below. Modern scientific investigation teams have mapped this region, recording severe geomagnetic distortions in these specific areas. Drones malfunction, compasses point in conflicting directions, and sensors fail, reacting to a tangible physical anomaly anchored in the soil. Beyond the sightings of cryptids and glowing lights lies a documented history of intense psychological paranoia and human malice. Between 1979 and 1980, the neighboring city of Fall River suffered a series of brutal, ritualistic murders. The local community spiraled into a panic, convinced a massive, organized satanic cult was operating out of the forest shadows. That fear fed on a long legacy of institutional darkness. Nearby stood Taunton State Hospital, a facility that once housed real human monsters, including the 19th-century nurse Jane Toppin, who confessed to poisoning 31 patients. Decades later, the star witness of the Fall River trials admitted to perjury, revealing the entire satanic cult narrative was fabricated. The Bridgewater Triangle serves as a psychological pressure cooker, generating mass hysteria and convincing entire communities of monsters that never existed. If the cults were a fabrication, we are left to explain the failing sensors, the dread at the quarry, and glowing orbs in the trees. The bedrock beneath the forest reveals a physical cause. This region is loaded with deep, dense, crystalline quartz veins. When subjected to immense mechanical stress, this mineral structure triggers the piezoelectric effect. Slow-moving tectonic fault lines apply constant mechanical compression to the quartz. That stress generates an enormous, localized electrical charge directly underground. Quartz is an efficient insulator, storing this energy until the growing potential finds conductive pathways through the soil. When it reaches a breaking point, the energy shoots upward. As the charge breaches the surface, it discharges into the atmosphere, igniting into localized plasma. These glowing, unstable orbs of energy match the spook lights and UFOs reported for centuries. These lights represent the physical discharge of a naturally occurring geological battery hidden beneath the dirt. While the lights hover in the sky, a different interaction occurs when a human being walks directly into one of these intense, localized electromagnetic fields. These electromagnetic fields are capable of penetrating the skull, directly stimulating the brain's temporal lobes. Laboratory studies of temporal lobe stimulation show it can cause severe sensory distortions. The brain misfires, inducing sudden auditory hallucinations and a crushing, primal sense of dread. This biological reaction explains the gravity of Assinet Ledge. The urge to jump is a severe, localized panic attack induced by the proximity to highly charged rocks. In this environment, the bedrock interacts with our neurobiology, forcing the mind to interpret the invisible energy as a tangible threat. If the geology provides the trigger, we are left to ask why victims hallucinate specific culturally relevant entities like Native American ghosts or regional folklore creatures, rather than random static. When our perception glitches under electromagnetic stress, the subconscious mind rushes to fill the voids, using the imagery we already carry. The soil here is steeped in unresolved historical trauma. Southeastern Massachusetts carries the heavy legacy of King Philip's War and the violent displacement of the Wampanoag people in the 17th century. That collective history manifests in the panicked mind. Searching for a reason to feel terrified, the brain begins projecting historical figures, like Chief Massasoit, directly onto the decaying landscape. A shadow passing through the pine trees becomes a malevolent pukwudgie. A natural rock formation becomes a weeping face, Under severe duress, the brain projects regional guilt into the dark. The land acts as a mirror. We are confronted not by monsters in the woods, but by the historical
hotspots are strictly segregated. A location usually features one specific phenomenon: a lake monster, a haunted house, or a crashed saucer. In one specific region of Massachusetts, that rule collapses entirely, replaced by a concentrated barrage of completely unrelated anomalies. This map defines the boundaries of the Bridgewater Triangle. It is a 200-square-mile zone anchored by the town of Abington in the north, Freetown in the southeast, and Rehoboth in the southwest. Within these borders, the local police logs read like mythology. Witnesses report massive, prehistoric-looking thunderbirds with 12-foot wingspans gliding over the tree lines, alongside encounters with tall, bipedal, hair-covered hominids stalking through the local wetlands. And right alongside the biological oddities are severe mechanical failures. Drivers on isolated stretches of highway frequently describe their car engines abruptly dying entirely, bathed in the light of large, glowing aerial objects hovering low to the ground. A giant prehistoric bird and an electrical failure on a highway share no obvious connection. Cryptids, glowing spheres, and mechanical dead zones have no logical reason to occupy the exact same physical space. Unless, of course, they are all symptoms of a single hidden engine. But the high strangeness here bleeds heavily into documented reality. Between 1979 and 1980, the Freetown and Fall River areas became the epicenter of a string of gruesome, ritualistic murders carried out by local residents. The brutality of these crimes, coupled with the perpetrators' claims of dark rituals in the deep woods, served as a massive catalyst. The resulting media frenzy provided the initial spark for the nationwide satanic panic that consumed the 1980s. The human toll extends into the region's institutions. Behind the curved spikes of this fencing sits Taunton State Hospital. For decades, its wards housed some of the most violent serial killers in American history, generating a localized epicenter of institutional madness and suffering. Geographically, all of these events circle a central void, the vast, impenetrable 17,000-acre wetland known as the Hockomock Swamp. It is a maze of dead cedar trees, black water, and thick briars that forms the physical core of the triangle. Ritualistic murders, institutional horror, and sightings of towering cryptids all cluster tightly around this specific swamp. This density of both human and anomalous chaos strongly points toward an environmental trigger. We have to examine the soil itself. To understand the land, we have to look at the colonial map of New England. In 1675, this exact terrain served as the primary battleground for King Philip's War, a conflict that remains the bloodiest and most lethal per capita in American history. The violence reached a brutal crescendo deep within the swamp at Anawan Rock. There, colonial forces ambushed and captured the Wampanoag war leader, Chief Anawan, executing him and placing his severed head on public display. During his surrender, Anawan handed over the Confederacy's most sacred artifact, a massive 9-inch broad woven wampum belt. The belt served as the living archive of their people, holding generations of cultural memory. En route to London, the belt vanished, permanently severing the Wampanoag from their recorded soul. A massacre of that scale, combined with the total erasure of a culture's history, left a permanent psychological scar on the surviving population. Decades of grief and betrayal slowly solidified in the local consciousness, mutating over the centuries into legends of an indigenous curse poisoning the land. Modern science offers a different explanation for the poisoned land. Recent investigations equipped with ground-penetrating radar and magnetometers have detected severe active thermal and magnetic anomalies pulsing directly beneath the triangle. The source of that energy lies in the bedrock. The entire 200-square-mile zone rests upon massive, deep subterranean veins of crystalline quartz, much like the white stones you see breaking the surface right here. This cross-section shows a mechanism known as the piezoelectric effect. The bedrock in this region is under immense pressure. When shifting tectonic plates create intense friction against that deep quartz layer, the mechanical stress forces the crystal lattice to discharge massive electrical waves. Those electrical charges radiate violently upward through the soil,
When they breach the surface, they manifest as highly localized, intense electromagnetic fields. Under the right atmospheric conditions, this ionized energy creates luminous, hovering plasmaspheres, perfectly matching decades of reported glowing UFOs. These localized frequencies extend their influence into human neurobiology. Entering an intense, naturally occurring electromagnetic field disrupts the brain's temporal lobe, triggering acute paranoia, severe dread, and vivid visual hallucinations. The geological engine creates a persistent state of biological stress. This environmental pressure acts as a catalyst for psychological extremes, providing a physical foundation for the region's surges of madness, ranging from the sudden urge to jump at Assinet Ledge to the profound mental instability that permeated the area's history of violence. There are no interdimensional portals here. The Bridgewater Triangle is a massive, naturally occurring geological machine. The quartz bedrock acts as an engine, routinely flooding the surface with disorienting electrical frequencies. The real mystery is what happens in the human mind a fraction of a second later. When the temporal lobe short-circuits and floods the body with unearned terror, the brain desperately attempts to rationalize the fear, forcing a narrative onto the hallucination. This graphic demonstrates how we fill that void. The brain projects its deepest cultural anxieties onto the raw geological data. In the 17th century, a settler's disrupted brain saw the curse of a betrayed Wampanoag chief. In the 1980s, locals saw satanic cults. Today, we look at the glowing plasma and see alien spacecraft. The Bridgewater Triangle acts as the ultimate cultural Rorschach test. The geography produces the physical anomaly, but our own historical guilt and pop culture fears determine exactly what shape the monster takes in the dark. The true terror of the region doesn't lurk in the waters of the Hockomock Swamp. The chill comes from realizing that extreme earth science can completely hijack our perception of reality, forcing us to constantly confront the ghosts of our own violent history.